Why the has Jake from State Farm been everywhere this year? Sitting courtside at All-Star games, Lakers playoff games, dapping up Travis Scott. I can't tell if I should laugh or be jealous as shit. I feel like he's just completing side quests at this point. I mean, is Jake from State Farm even a real person? You're asking the right questions. This cultural phenomenon that is Jake from State Farm's campaign, all part of a greater push for State Farm to reach $150 billion in annual revenue by 2030. And they're doing it by making insurance cool. Two words I thought would never be said in the same sentence, insurance and cool, but they're doing it. And it's a sweet case study. Let's get into the story. Red shirt, khakis, and insurance.
Hey, do they ever ask you what you're wearing?
I'm not describing that annoying kid from high school who now drives a Dodge Charger and works at his dad's insurance firm. I mean, I could be, but I'm actually describing one of the most innovative marketing campaigns of 2024. State Farm is the largest home insurance company in the United States, known from their State and Red branding, and they're widening their gap on the competition like Allstate and Liberty Mutual. And the way in which they're doing it is fascinating. The iconic Jake from State Farm campaign launched in 2011 featuring an actual State Farm employee and met tons of success. The series of commercials cemented State Farm as one of the pioneers of creative marketing in the insurance industry. But like in every industry, when you start to see success with a formula, others will obviously begin to imitate you. Next thing you know, almost every big insurance company was leaning all into humor in their marketing. Think Geico, Progressive, Allstate, Liberty Mutual, they all did it. Now, humor can have a massive positive impact on your go-to-market strategy, but what sits at the root of its effectiveness is differentiation. In most industries, brands are hesitant to use humor in their marketing, so if you become the one bold enough to do so, you'll stick out in the best way possible. But because every insurance company began to ride the humorous coattails of State Farm, suddenly their differentiation diminished. Their commercials now sat in a sea of other funny commercials, and they didn't stick out, and unfortunately they ended the Jake from State Farm commercials 4 years after launching. However, 5 years after that, State Farm reintroduced Jake in a completely new way. And to show just how far this new iteration of Jake has come, a collaboration with the most popular artist on the planet, not named Taylor Swift, doesn't even make the cut for the list of fantastic moves by State Farm with this new revamped approach to Jake from State Farm. Here are Jake and Drake from State Farm in a Super Bowl commercial back in 2020. That's what I'm referencing. This long-term push from State Farm to make insurance cool has been less reliant on influencers and celebrities to associate with the brand, like Drake, and more about building their own in-house celebrity that represents State Farm as a whole, one that they have full creative freedom over, and that in-house celeb is Jake from State Farm. Jake has taken on this whole new personality that, quite frankly, nobody can tell if it's actually him or a character he's playing, and that's the secret sauce. State Farm has built personal accounts for Jake from State Farm on all socials. In every post, he's donning the State Farm logo and the in-your-face red colorway, but never promoting anything. The accounts are clearly used to keep the brand top of mind for consumers and connect in a unique way, but still funnels users back to State Farm ultimately. The funnel is subtle and resembles that of the typical influencer. You know, a link tree in his bio that takes you to a landing page full of all the info you need as a fan of Jake and State Farm. But what really is unique about their investment into Jake is their move to take him from just being a character we all see through the screen and have him attend in-person events. And I can confidently say this is a strategy we have never, ever seen executed before. Flo from Progressive is one of the most successful brand icons of all time, but even she is confined to the TV screen. State Farm didn't remove Jake from the commercials. He's still the highlight of almost all of them. I literally saw like 10 last night watching the NBA playoffs, but he has now become a viral sensation at in-person events. If you want to see the extent to which Jake has become a cultural icon, look at this quote tweet of a random video on Twitter where Jake just happens to be in the background. The tweet has 64,000 likes, 2 million plus views, and is the exact proof that State Farm's cultural currency is on the rise. This Twitter user finally pointed out something we all had noticed, but nobody had publicly put a finger on it yet. It took months for the vast majority of people to even sniff out that this was all a marketing campaign. And that's the genius behind it all. Now, insurance has always battled the inability to productize their offering. Consumers can't picture insurance in their head like they can the crew neck they're looking to buy. But State Farm found a happy medium with Jake that when consumers see him, they picture State Farm and insurance is top of mind. Sitting Jake courtside at NBA playoff games or next to the most popular NFL player's mom, State Farm can pick where, when, and how their brand shows up at all of the biggest events in ways no other brand can. Effectively a walking billboard, State Farm has unlocked a whole new way to advertise and productize insurance. Let me explain. Commercial breaks are met with way more resistance from consumers than a subtle pan over to Jake from State Farm sitting courtside, which has the same impact as an ad, except it doesn't feel like an ad. They're putting a face to the brand, and the messaging of the brand no longer seems like it's coming from the corporate marketing department in New York, and instead is just coming from this likable dude named Jake who enjoys all the same sports as you and I. And they're doing this on all channels, by the way, not just in-person events. Look at this ad on my Twitter timeline. What other insurance company has their brand icon dripped out in a track jacket? By the way, I would wear that. I would wear this. Asking you to lace up and play pickup basketball. The answer is none. They're all too focused on shilling their latest discounts with a gecko. You know, in this ad, the State Farm logo is present, but an afterthought. Every message in their campaign is coming from Jake directly, not State Farm. And the reason this works is because consumers favor trust and cooperation, and it's substantially easier to develop that through the presence of an individual like Jake instead of the brand as a whole. Therefore, all of the messaging they're looking to push is likely to be positively received by the audience because it's coming from Jake. Leaning on Jake has also enabled State Farm to be in places other brands can't. Example number 1, Jake greets Caitlin Clark after she's selected #1 overall in the WNBA draft. He greeted her even before she greeted her parents, which is a whole other debate. Example number 2, Jake sitting with Donna Kelce. This was right around the time Taylor and Travis went public with the relationship, so all the commotion was focused on the Kelce family. Smart move by State Farm to sit Jake right next to Travis's mom, and the broadcast showed the two enjoying the Sunday night game. Example number 3, Jake dapping up Travis Scott. This one was so confusing and unexpected that it went super viral. The last thing you would think Travis Scott would be associated with is home insurance. Example number 4, Jake wearing a custom jacket from Kristen Juszczyk, who most notably designed a jacket for Taylor Swift. To execute that, State Farm had to clearly be in the know, which is something no other insurance company is. This campaign is so dope, showing up in ways no other brand can and staying relevant with the culture in their greater push to make insurance cool. State Farm, this is one of the most innovative campaigns 2024, and it's not even close. I'm super excited to see where they take this and what brands follow their playbook.